Welcome back, my loves. Woohoo! We're at the final 2 episodes of this series. Wow, I'm so proud of us. First of all, I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of Spirit for really keeping me in this series, because there have been times where this voice has crept in that's like, maybe we don't finish it. And some of that's like manifesting generator 3-5. Y'all feel me out there. If that's your type, you know what it's like to start things and then not fully finish them and just be like, oh, well, whatever. That was just like a random creative streak that's now lost back in the ether. But I've really felt my devotion to the series because every chapter, every episode has and reveals so much about not just my experience, but the human experience and the ways in which we can see ourselves and process life through different tinted colored shades. And where we just feel in deeper connection. You know, like right now, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking to you in the ether. But in general, it's like I'm sitting here in my spare room. I got a cozy jacket on. Like I'm just talking to my phone. And yet there is this like a really deep essence of connection that I feel. And it's ultimately what's inspiring this. And so there's 2 episodes left. I'm so excited to talk to you about today because what we are getting into is like my forte. This is like why I'm a professional. This is like what I teach, what I preach, what I'm constantly talking about. And that is sensuality and my process of returning to my sensual body post-pregnancy, which was a journey that took a lot longer than I ever anticipated. I was like, your girl's going to bounce back, A, B, C, let's go. Here we are. And it was not that. And part of that was because I was processing so much mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that my body was kind of being forgotten. Or if it wasn't being forgotten, it was being dismissed. And almost with this like pseudo malintent. Like it's such a weird thing where I was rejecting my body for doing what it's supposed to do. This is like the fucked up part, right? It was doing what it was supposed to do. My body is meant to create and sustain life and to change the world through its capacity to create life. And I rejected that. And so in it, I became deeply afraid of my body because I had a really big fear of going through that again. I was like, that is not an offer that is on the table anymore, period. Like, and I really affirmed in that. And so for months, I had so much fear around my body and I had so much fear around intimacy and sexual connection. I was like a hard no, like do not pass. Don't touch me, don't pass, like no, I was closed off. Talk about like a shutdown trauma response. I was in it. I was in it very deep. Especially because, as you know from other episodes, there was so much shame spiraling that was happening. So much like spiritual warfare and just, whoa. And so I knew, though my higher self, my higher body self, my most empowered girl, I'm here for you. Let's figure this out. Let's heal this and let's like get back to your mission and get back to your purpose. Even though this is a part of that, right? I say that, get back to it. But there was no going back. That was like, there's absolutely no going back. What a jaded, ignorant thing to think. And this is a part of it now, right? And I see that so clearly. And that's also why I'm just so grateful to be able to have this conversation out loud with you wherever you are. And so this higher self part of me knew that I needed to come back to my body. I was incredibly disassociated. I was in fear. I was in scarcity. I was in mourning. I was in hell. I was everywhere. And through this process, I'm so glad because a mentor came into my field at the exact time I needed her. Like, shout out Amber if you ever listen to this. Like, wow, she was so amazing to me and for me, and she was such a gift from the community that I was in here. And she became like my safe space to process for several weeks, and something that she reminded me of, which this is how it happens for us, right? It's like we know what we need. When we really tune in, we know what we need. We just don't give it to ourselves. Something always gets in the way. It's like we know, but we just don't do it. Right? I knew I needed to slow down, but I just didn't do it, and I couldn't do it. I was in such a fear trauma response that like all systems were firing, so you think about a classic example. I'll use the Titanic example actually, where this boat has an optimal speed, and it's going at optimal speed until in the movie, right? Some guy says, hey, let's just crank it up. Let's like see what this baby can really do, right? The guy with no boundaries and discernment decided to do that. That was the mistake. Right here, you can see that cranking as my nervous system getting activated and me moving into a fear and trauma response. So that system got cranked, right? When that iceberg came, you think about how quick you can slow something like that down, a beast like the Titanic down. Like, no, that doesn't happen, right? And so it was the same for my nervous system and my body. All systems were firing. I was full speed panic. Even though I wasn't going anywhere, I was just spinning out, but full speed. And so I knew with all the training and all the therapy and everything that I've done and everything that I've taught, I was like, there has never been a better time to take my own advice. Girl, now's the time to be in your work. Right? Let's use the tools. And my mentor at the time was so good at reminding me that, and just really being my cheerleader. And I was just so grateful. She was like, babe, okay, let's do it right here, right now. Like, what do you need? Let's just like bring you back to safety. Let's bring you back to your body. She was just such a great sounding board for me. And so through her, it was these gentle reminders every week. And this is why I'm such an advocate for mentorship, y'all, is that every week it was somebody else on my side versus me against myself. And so having that safe space to talk about what was going on for me mentally, how I was feeling in my body, what I could do this week to support what it was that I needed. To slow down, to feel, to emote, to feel, to cry, to grieve, to all of it. And so she was really great, just week by week, just like, just a nudge. We're going to slow down just a little bit more this week, and then let's try just a teeny bit more the next week. And slowly my nervous system came back to a relative baseline. And from there, and this is something that I teach with all my clients and all my classes, it's really important that we know what our waking state baseline is. And so do I actually wake up at a baseline where I'm neither here nor there? I'm just kind of chilling in the free space, right? So I'm a baseline. A majority of humanity's baseline is in the amber. It is in the yellow state. If you think of a traffic light system, green means I'm good to go. Yes. What that says in the body is that I feel safe. I'm open. I'm curious. When you move into a yellow state, like a yellow light, that's a caution signal. So that's, hey, I don't know if I'm safe here. I don't know if I should speed up. I don't know if I should slow down. Things could change at any moment. So when we look at that from the somatic perspective, when we look at that from a trauma perspective, that's feeling tension in your body, feeling anxiety, feeling braced, constantly scanning your environment for threat. That's a yellow zone. Hey, I don't know if I'm feeling safe here. And then, of course, there's red. I'm out. I have left the building. Thank you so much. Cannot be here anymore, right? It's when we disassociate. So you can either up and leave your body. People describe it as being in another part of a room and just kind of witnessing themselves and their environment. Or there's going and burying yourself so deep in your inner landscape. You go and hide the deepest, darkest crevices because that is what feels safe. So we either go as deep inward as we can or we go outward. And so I'm sharing this, so you use this as a tool for yourself. It's so important that we know what our waking state is, because in that are a lot of cues about how safe you're feeling, about how open, about how receptive to life you are feeling. It's really hard to receive the things that we want if we are constantly in a state of contraction. This is muscle tension. This is literally this kind of like cowering, closing up into a ball, shoulders rolled forward, slumpy back, right? Versus when we think about being in a green state, like we're straight up. Our chest is puffed out. We're like, okay, world, come at me. Your girl is ready, right? That's a green state. You can even feel the energetic shift in my voice, right? I got a bit excited about that. I was like, oh, I love that energy. So yellow and red, right? It's important that we know our waking state. And so I pose this question for you to think about and consider. On average, you could think in the totality of your life, you could think on average this season, right? What is your waking state? Do you wake up green and excited and open and ready? Do you wake up yellow, a little anxious, a little fearful, a little triggered, a little tender, right? Do you wake up red? It's really hard to actually get up. I don't know if I can do this day. I'm struggling to be here. Once you know that information, that's a great starting point. Oh my gosh, babe, if this was just like a revelation for you, I really feel that. If me giving this example just kind of like set you free a little bit, amen. It's so nice to know where you start, because then you can understand what's going on in your nervous system, in your muscles, in your body, in your spirit, in your mind, and your emotions. That is the starting point. Lesson 1. You're welcome for that. We can continue to talk about that together and how to work with that. So for me, I was waking up yellow, borderline red for a while. And I knew it and I could feel it. And I needed that mentorship and I needed that support because my partner was also having his experience, which was very different. But when we're cohabitating and I'm in these deep realms all the time and I'm spinning out and I'm waking up feeling really hypervigilant towards myself and towards spirit, towards life, right? I was on alert for a long time. And so I knew I needed to come back to my sensual body. I knew that coming back to my senses, like giving myself permission to work for my business the way that I needed to work with it, which was very different, to trust in God. And this is ultimately what brought the God piece to me. And we'll get into that in the next episode as well. But I tuned in. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, how am I going to show up for my clients and what's going to happen? And all these things that, again, spinning out like as an entrepreneur, that happen in seasons where you just don't have the same capacity. I was really struggling, and I've said this in previous episodes, to give when I felt undernourished. And so sensuality and having the space to ground myself and to just slow down the system a little bit by being with myself, capital S, myself as in my body, myself as my emotions, right? Or you want to call these parts of myself. I was just with myself. I was like, girl, this is tough. Wow. That emotion was big. okay, what do you need? And I would be like touching myself and massaging my hands, putting my hands on my chest and just like, girl, what do you need in this moment? I love you. I'm here for you. Let's go. Tell me. And I felt so anchored in that. Oh my gosh, to have that type of connection with those parts of myself. Oh gosh. It made me so grateful for all of the trainings and all of the work that I have put in to love myself to such a degree. And what a polarity, right? Even as I say that out loud, I went from completely hating myself in the hell of the spiral into deeply loving myself. That's like, no, that's not it. That is not the path. We are not staying there. You know, and it really was, even though it was me to myself, deep down, it was really truly God to me. It was a spiritual life force energy that was like, I love you. Let us correct this. And I really truly felt held. And so when I say coming back to my sensual body, if you've been in my space before, you understand that sensuality and sexuality are not the same thing. Lesson number 2. Here we go. She's serving today. Lesson number 2, sensuality and sexuality are not the same thing. Sexuality is really about your sexual identity, what you're attracted to, what activates your system, literally turning on your system. Think of it as a light switch. I'm turned off, I'm turned on. So sexuality is those things. It's these desires that come from that energy. Sensuality, it's literally in the word, y'all, is your senses, your 5 senses, and living for the pleasure of them. Pleasure, again, not to be conflated or over-conflated or over-sexualized. Pleasure is also your joy. It's like your ability to feel happy and feel good in your body and look around in that kind of green state. Like, okay, what does this day have for me? I'm so curious and I'm so open. And so when you're able to live from the pleasure, the joy, the happiness, the goodness, the pure goodness, it's so pure. Oh, it's so pure. Pure goodness in your everyday life, that's, for me, that's when you've got it made. It's like when you can fluctuate in that, of course you're going to have some bad days, some days in the yellow, some days that are tough, some challenge, right? But if you can embody a lifestyle where that is your baseline more often than it's not, it feels amazing. It is life-changing. That is the sweet spot. And there's so many things, again, systemically that we're up against that make that sweet spot feel challenging to achieve. But I promise you, when you put your heart and your soul and your mind to it, once you find it, you will never leave it. It becomes your new standard. There's so much empowerment in that place. There's so much confidence there. There's so much deep faith and trust in there. Testify. It's amazing. And so, coming back to our sensual body, our 5 senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Coming back to my senses. Does what I see bring pleasure to my body? Yes or no? I have a sacral authority in human design, so yes or no, right? Is what I'm seeing on my phone bringing me pleasure? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to fix that. Are the things that I'm hearing, the songs, the sounds, the conversation, supportive to my body, to my well-being? Yes or no? Yes, great. 1 out of 5 down, right? And we get to have this conversation with ourselves, and then we get to create an environment that literally the second you step into it, right, shifts your entire nervous system. That sense of peace, that sense of calm, that sense of like, I feel so cozy here. Yes. I love coming home. I love the environment that I am creating for myself. The second I walk in, it does something for my benefit, for my healing, for my peace. Is what I'm eating, right? Same thing. Are there textures around that when I touch them just help me feel 10% more soft, 10% more at ease, 10% more comfortable? And so I began to do that as devotion to myself and devotion to my nervous system, and also my devotion to trust on a deeper level. And I didn't come to that spiritual insight until a little bit later, but coming to trust. So I slowed down. I took things off my plate that I was like, hey, love you so much, don't have the capacity right now. God bless you. And it was just understood. And I gave that time to myself, to all parts of myself that were going through a really hard and heavy experience, to all parts of myself that felt under attack, spiritually and also from myself. Right? Like I said before, I was brutal to myself. I couldn't believe the things that I was saying. And again, that higher self power, that God spirit was like, no, girl, we are not doing that. That is a boundary. It was like, it was just so corrective. It was so corrective. And, oh gosh. And so I'm still on a journey of returning to my sensual body. More of my energy is coming online. And by God's grace, I'm so grateful for that. I have more energy. I'm feeling more in the green than I am in the yellow. I'm gaining radiance and life force energy and creativity. My business is growing right now in this really, really beautiful way, right? And it's because I gave myself that opportunity to come back to me. The essence of who I am in this moment, the essence of what I want to be, what I strive to be. And it took being so honest with myself that was like, okay, you've been in the pits of hell for too long. I need to call upon, my warrior archetype to bring us out of that and say, no, baby, we need to soften. We need to slow down. We need to catch our breath. We need to soften. This is not the way. This is absolutely not the way. And it just, between that and the microdosing mushrooms, I think both of them were playing together to support me. I had God asking me these questions. It's like, why don't you trust me? What's actually at that? And then I had the spirit of these mushrooms coming that were just like, hey, have your moment, but we're coming out of that. And you need to lean into that this is for your purpose so you can keep on healing and moving on. And it was just like, whoa, it was corrective in the essence that I felt like I had spiritually two parents there. Just, disciplining me, but in a way that was just, I wanted to listen to them. I was like, okay, I trust you. I have to give this to you because I'm struggling to do that myself. And I think there's this moment where those who go through really challenging experiences have to have that conversation, right? And beyond ourselves, it has to be our conversation with God. But I needed to do the work simultaneously to come back to my body and to recalibrate my nervous system for safety, also from myself. Again, from myself. There's no victims here. From myself. So that I could come back into resonance with life. And I could come back to that state of safety, because until I reach that state of safety, decisions are not fully coming from me. And here's why: because we get reactive. If we have a short trigger zone, if we're easily triggered, we're very reactive in that moment. The nervous system takes over and it does what it does best, which is tries to protect us. It goes, nope, not here, can't do it. It's out before our mind even cognitively knows what's going on. It's crazy how fast this happens, you guys. And so when we're reactive, we do not have agency. It is more challenging to make conscious, discerned decisions because our fuse is short. Right? But if you think about if you have a long fuse, okay, that might have been lit over there, but I'm kind of thinking about what my schedule looks like. How do I want to process this? What's going to be, the best move for all parties involved, right? You have a little bit extra time to make that decision. That creates sovereignty and choice. That makes you a sovereign individual. A lot of people, I would probably say the majority of humanity right now, has a short fuse. Triggers are everywhere. You don't even have to find one. It'll just come to you. Trust me. Like, we don't have to search for triggers. We can create our own triggers, for fuck's sake. It's like, it's so intense. And so everybody's like operating out of that zone, right? And that's why coming back to discernment, coming back to your senses, your body, your sensual body, figuring out what's going on from that place of sovereignty and agency, you can make a conscious decision that supports not just your well-being, but the well-being of the people around you, your environment, your neighborhood, etc., etc. It ripples out from us. So we can't expect things to change and not also change ourselves. And that is so true. Otherwise, if we waited, good luck, right? You're going to be waiting forever. So the journey for me of coming back to my sensual body was, I have a ton of tools and practices. And again, I'm so grateful for all of the time, money, energy that I've invested in my trainings, because every day, especially while I was microdosing, was a little different. My needs were very different most days, with the exception of the underlying need was rest, recovery, and replenishment. I needed to rest. I needed to nap a lot. I needed to recover after I grieved a lot. I needed to replenish my body of resources and energy, doing things that lift me up, because that felt available to me that day. Other days, that upness was not as available. And so by tuning into my sensual body daily, sometimes multiple times a day, like, hey, where are you at? Hey, what do you need? Hey, what would support you right now? Hey, what would make this 10% more easeful for you? Asking myself those questions, just, again, it became a standard. I had to bring it back into my life and check in often and be honest with myself. So even just having that check-in really brought back that intimacy with all parts of myself that were struggling at any given moment on any given day. Shout out if you know what I mean by that. And then my practice grew back into movement. And for a while I was in this really deep period of rejecting my body, I wasn't moving either. I was just too depressed. I was too depressed to do anything. And so when I finally did start to, move, I had bought these puzzle mats for my terrace so I didn't have to wear knee pads and I wouldn't mess up my knees. And I would just start with these really slow, deep stretching, really gentle movement, holding myself, crying, moving into some other positions, releasing some tension, crying. It was a lot of that. Right? But I was so grateful in that moment. I could have been like, dang, I'm still crying, which sometimes I was, but most of the time I'm just like, oh, thank God I'm getting that out. I do not want all that energy stored in my body. I don't want to carry this. I don't have to carry this. So again, a really slow start. And again, in my mind, there was times where I was frustrated and that would prevent my progress because, again, it's just a low-key way of beating yourself up. And I would do that. It's oh, why don't I feel sexy right now? And I would look at myself in the reflection and be like, girl, you know exactly why you don't feel sexy right now. You know, it was this constant dialogue, just back and forth. That's like, look at yourself for just a quick second with like an honest lens. Like, you are in no position to feel that way. And it was true. The thing I love about my reflection is she's just so real with me. She's so real, and I'm so grateful for her. Again, spirit, just like, hey, okay, if you want to have a conversation about it, let's have a conversation about it, but let's be honest here with each other. That's why mirror work also, you guys, mirror work is such a deep devotional practice. You will get to know yourself like no other through mirror work, especially the way that I teach it. It's so revealing. There's nowhere to run with mirror work. And it's deeply self-loving. It's deeply self-loving. I became my biggest advocate for myself in this life through mirror work. That's where that download came from and just like changed every cell in my body. I was like, whoa, that was a code and a half. So I'm such a preacher about mirror work also. So I'm doing these practices. I'm slowly unwinding and opening my body. I'm stretching. I'm crying when I need to cry. I'm resting when I need to rest. I'm doing my best to stay hydrated out here. Eating good food. Really listening to my body. And over time, in patience and grace, honestly, my spark, my sensual spark, that little like mini firework that you feel when things start to feel really exciting and kind of activating, that freedom, that creativity started to come back online. And I remember the first time that I felt it, I dropped to my knees crying. Just like, thank God for that. Like, I knew that it was there and I knew that it was buried, but I'll be honest with you, I had a big fear. I was like, what if I never get that back? What if I just become depressed for the rest of my life and wallow in self-pity and how terrible of a person I am? Like, you know, and I had to have a lot of hope and I had to have a lot of faith that that spark, that aliveness was still in me. I just needed to make my way back to it. And I needed to go through a process to do that. And that's exactly what happened, what is happening. So now I'm out dancing, I'm moving a couple times a day, I'm strengthening my body, again, slowly, at my own pace, but I'm taking it seriously. I'm taking myself seriously. I'm taking God seriously, that experience seriously. And being able to reclaim my body and being able to reclaim my sense of safety and my sense of connection to myself, but also God, has been the key component of this whole thing. And it's deepened my embodiment from what I was before. I'm building a foundation that is very different from anything I've ever built. And there are life lessons and teachings that I get to take with me. And of course, I'm taking these and I'm sharing these with my clients. The people that feel that same resonance are like, I want your support, please. I'm like, let's go. I've got a lot to offer. And you know, I'm on this other side of it now where, you know, when I first started this series, we were talking about the Vesica Pisces and this energy that you're on one side and then you go through a portal and you come out the other side and there is no going back. When we started this, I was like in the void. I was in the middle of the Vesica Pisces, looking around, you know, like an Interstellar where you're looking around the black hole and just trying to figure things out. Like, that's where I was, and that's where this whole podcast series started, was just me in the void looking at everything. And it's been quite a bit of time since I first recorded that episode. And now there's like this emergence that I feel is happening out of the Vesica Pisces, where I'm starting to see life again. I'm seeing it through a new lens. It's landing in the cells of my body, this new way of being and interacting with the world and interacting with myself and with God, my business, all of it. And that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't take that time to really focus on myself, to get real with myself, to microdose, and then to come back to my sensual body post microdosing. Because while I was microdosing, I was not really moving. I was like, no, that was my no era. I was like, no, I'm in my wallowing era and trying to find my way out of it. So I really didn't start coming back to my sensual body until after that, which was quite like, we knew to put this into context. That would have been 8-9 months after I terminated my pregnancy, like almost a year before I started really working on coming back to my body. And it gave me the clarity and the centeredness to then continue to move and grow and heal and deepen these threads and these tethers in my life. And I'm a different woman because of them. And I see it in my behaviors. I see the impulse, and then I have that quick moment of sacred pause, y'all. God bless the sacred pause. I have that quick moment where I go, let's think about this for a second. And it serves. It really serves. So for anybody that's gone through this, or just trauma in general, the sensual body is going to be such a gateway. It's going to be such a key for helping you understand what's going on inside your body and why trust might feel difficult, why love might feel difficult, why acceptance might feel difficult. Coming to the body is how we figure out what's actually going on beneath the hood, because that is also driving your experience and how you feel. So if this touches you in some way and you want to learn more about this, please reach out to me. There's so much available. And when I say that, I also mean there's so much life available that we're not experiencing in this moment because of XYZ, right? Insert your circumstance there. And I really feel, and from my personal experience, when we can really drop in to the knowledge and wisdom of what is going on in our lives, drop into, am I being the person that I really want to be, truthfully? And if not, where do I need to pivot and realign myself? What do I need to tune in with? What do I need to heal? What part wants some care? How can I correct this experience so I am living in integrity and I am living in alignment with my values? And this has all been a part of that journey. So as always, thank you for being here. I hope this touched you, fed you, nourished you, opened your eyes in some way, opened your heart in some way, set you free in some way, whatever it is. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be a bridge for you in that way, and be an expander for you in that way. And for those who have any, felt resonance to this, like, gosh, I'm right there with you. I feel you. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel you. I'm always grateful to be here. We've got one more episode left, y'all, so thank you. Thank you for staying here, and I look forward to seeing you, hearing you next time in the future.